Did you do anything at Halloween, or did you do what normal adults do and stay indoors and hope kids don't knock around your house?
No, I did nothing. It was a Sunday, it was a school night, so it was a bit of a let's stay at home and do very little.
We carved pumpkins, put them on the fireplace, looked at them, and breathed a sigh of relief when no kids came knocking around, because we don't have anything to give them other than disappointment.
Here's a bucket of sand in your face. Psh.
Look what's in my sack. Disappointment. We went out the night before, so Saturday. My older brother dressed as Arnold Rimmer, but when he turns into the geek version of himself, where he has "Give Quiche a Chance" on his t-shirt, and he had a pipe and glasses, and he looked scarily like our dad, the stretched version of father.
Because there was that guy at Bloodstock who was dressed as Rimmer for like the entire time.
Yes, well played to him. He had the H and everything.
That stuck to him, even though he possibly was a rather greasy individual.
Yeah, yes, very greasy. At least he didn't strangle anyone, though. Incidentally, Rettis came round and he made me watch this film. We actually rented it off Amazon Prime for money.
You paid actual cash to watch this film.
Yes, it's called The Greasy Strangler, and I have some thoughts. I showed you the trailer, so you had a tiny window into the tone of this film. But, oh boy, just...
All I can say is it was very pink.
Yeah, so it's about this guy lives with his dad, and they do walking disco tours, and the dad is the most crotchety, annoyed at everything man ever. But he also turns out to be the eponymous Greasy Strangler, which is given away in the film's trailer, and on the cover, in fact. And it boils down to a weird love triangle between him. They are like the same woman, basically. And it's just like, I don't want to spoil the whole film, but it's one of the few films that I've just sat there afterwards and just was lost for words. I was lost for words. The last time that happened is when I watched Cuso, or however you say it, which is even worse because it has less of fewer of a plot. At least this has a plot, Vienna plot running through it. But what I can say is it genuinely made me laugh out loud a few times because it has these little nuggets of, in between all the bizarre, gross out stuff. Yeah. It actually has really funny bits in it. And the soundtrack is really good, done by one half of the band Fuck Buttons. So it's just very 8-bit, just whimsical nonsense. It just adds to the overall what the fuck of the film. So anyway, in short, if you're weird and you like weird films, watch it, but don't ever watch it twice.
Do you think he had inspiration for the soundtrack from actually seeing the script and or the film?
I think that's probably the voices going through his head after he saw the rough cut of the film. It's just it's his way of exorcising the demons in his head. I need to make the soundtrack of this film. When you watch an old man naked in a car wash screaming as the grease comes off of him, like you've seen it all. Fun for all the family.
No real dongs were harmed in the making of this film.
I should hope not, because the prosthetic ones look weird, I think, very intentionally. So let's move on from that, sidestep and go around the big pile of grease. And oh no, there's a big pile of vomit. Why is there a big pile of vomit? Because that's largely of what the memoirs that I've just finally finished writing contain. It still needs more work because art is never finished. It's only abandoned, isn't it, really? But
yeah, but if you keep going at it, it's going to be like your parents' old house, never finished.
Only finished by the time that they needed to sell it. Yes.
It's a perfect way of dealing with timelines and deadlines. It's let's get it done just as we need it.
Well, yes, I've given myself a deadline of early 2022. So I just need to do the boring stuff now, like format it and spell check it. And things like that. But it is done. It's done. 207,000 words. It's done. This is not going to be for commercial distribution. You all have a copy and other people have a copy and you'll be like, well, that's a thing that can sit on my shelf and gather dust.
A dusty tome to be found by your great grandkids and they go, what the actual fuck was he on?
What is a 3310? It's just going to be the book hollowed out and then the Nokia 3310 is just going to be placed inside it. Like, this was the only relic from our generation you need to know about.
Yeah, they'd turn it on and it's still got signal and battery.
Yeah, it could probably survive like several explosions. And it was fireworks night last night, wasn't it? It didn't stop around our way until about 1 a.m. So thanks, everyone. Also, there is random firework detritus in our garden, because what goes up must come down in stick form.
Stick and blown to bits, paper form.
Hope Oscar was okay for the duration, because cats don't like fireworks.
He's fine. He's not usually that overly spooked by stuff. Our fireworks evening, well, actually it happened on the 4th as well. About 4:30, there was just one loud bang.
That's not worrying at all.
Yeah, just actually it happened twice on the 4th, and then on the 5th, one at about 5, and then a few people around here did fireworks. I don't think this is the side of town where people like to do fireworks in their own gardens, so it was kind of low-key, and yeah, so it wasn't particularly loud. It's not like our next door neighbour was letting off 180mm howitzer into the sky or anything.
A 400 shot multi-ball! No! There's just like medicine balls, onions, and things like just flying into the air. Like,
a load of
oh
onions,
no,
apples, everything.
I hope they do explode in the sky. They don't just come raining down upon our property. Does my insurance... Raining onions from the Ashfordian sky. Right. Shall we just get on with it?
Yes.
Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with horrendous generic beat. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.
Welcome to arguably a less scary episode of Always an Adventure podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sam. I don't really have anything else to say except my brain needs scrubbing with greasy mind rubbers. Please no. I think that's going to permeate the entire episode, just like the Venga busted. Who would win? Dave the Cockleman or the Greasy Strangler?
The entirety of Shawaddy throwing various sundry items that would be sold by a Cockleman. From a bus, no less. From the Venga bus.
Yeah. I don't know, like projectiles versus a man that shuffles around and he has to be within strangling distance. My money's on Shawaddy.
They could drive over him with a fucking bus.
Yep, that would make a right mess, that would, wouldn't it? Jeez.
Yeah. People don't really know this about the Venga bus, but it is a murderer. It's possessed by the vengeful spirit of vengeance.
The vengeful spirit.
The vengable spirit. So here's a question for you. Ginger Bean asks, if you could pick one thing to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be? It has to be the exact same thing. Serving method of cooking every time. No frying, eating raw, pairing it with something else. It has to be identical. What would it be?
I've chosen two because I'm a cheating bastard, but not at the same time. It's one or the other. Either a potato, just a potato.
Just a potato.
Because that's kind of vague enough that I can eat different types of potato, because if you just say potato, then it's a potato. You don't know if it's a sweet potato, a tiny potato, a
poisonous potato,
or a non-poisonous potato. If something else is stuck to it when you pick it out of the ground, like a wiggly worm,
you just can't catch them.
A meatball for some reason, well.
This seems to be attached to a steakhouse full of steaks.
Well, this is technically just
it's just a potato.
Mash a potato into the wall of a Pizza Hut, like, well. It's still technically part of the potato, so I'm eating it.
Overarm bowling potatoes into a freezer aisle will not get you any other food, Sam.
Damn it! Okay, what about magic mushrooms? Because the rest of my life, albeit very short, would be fucking hilarious.
It'd be a wild ride, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or crossbreed a potato with a mushroom somehow. Per mushroom or potatoes.
I want potato. Not allowed. That's just forbidden.
Well, potato then. What about you? Would it be Beppis? That's
No,
not even a food.
It's not even nutritional in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure it's shortening my life and my enjoyment of it. This is really difficult because anything you have to eat for the rest of your life, if your life is long, is going to be quite boring. So if we're going for the, I'm not going to immediately kill myself by eating something like arsenic or something stupid like that. It would have to be some sort of meal that has a lot of things in it. Because if you say one thing, I guess we can make it one dish.
Yes,
or is it just one item of food? Because that's going to get hella boring. A really nice goulash or a stew or something like that. Because there's at least some sort of texture variety, and you could pour it on your face and rub it into your body and become greasy.
This needs more grease.
Yeah, you could slide down a hill on it.
Well, also, I reckon you could pick the individual items out of the stew and just have them on their own and just have them as different causes. So it kind of feels like there's some variation in what you're having. Yeah. Like, I'll just have the soup portion for breakfast, have the dumplings for pudding or something.
I'm going to pick each individual square of carrot out with a toothpick.
Try with lentils. You got to do it with the lentils. Like, Jesus.
I've got 12 hours to waste. Let's pickle the lentils out.
I learned that there were 374 lentils in my food today. It's now too late to eat or enjoy them because they've gone stone fucking cold.
Formed into one homogeneous block of lentil, one giant lentil you can see from space.
It becomes its own planet.
I threw it at a beagle and it died.
God. Is that a reference to something?
No!
Oh my God. You sick man. A beagle.
Beagles need to die. Here, have a pack of Marlboro.
Ignore the 2-ton ball of lentils rolling towards you like some kind of Crash Bandicoot / Indiana Jones shit.
Would you prefer to be in the world of Indiana Jones or the world of Crash Bandicoot?
Both of you are not really in any real danger because one, the ball is made of paper mache in Indiana Jones. And two, if you're shit enough at Crash Bandicoot, there's adaptive difficulty in it where it actually slows down. So you're like, oh, well, if I just keep dying and experiencing the horrible, repetitive, crushing death from big polygonal boulder, then eventually life will get easier. That's a poor life lesson, Crash Bandicoot. Keep making mistakes and things will get easier.
If only that was the case.
I tell you what never seems to get easier for you is to find new things on Facebook as well to keep us entertained. Do you have anything this week?
Yes, I do.
Yes!
Facebook swipey McDoodads. Can I interest you in the OG Rusty Golf Club?
Okay. I don't know where to begin in asking the amount of questions required to understand what this is without seeing it. Original gangster Rusty Golf Club.
Yeah.
The OG what? Is it from a film? Is it a prop or like?
It's a Cobra Trusty Rusty golf wedge. In fact, it's a 55-degree wedge.
I didn't realize rusty was a selling point for like metallic things.
Apparently, it is for these kind of golf clubs. Also, look at the picture. You can see the man's bare feet in it.
Oh God, he looks like he's covered in grease. Actually, or look like it's a very, very hot day.
That could be yours for a very small sum.
It's actually it says on it rusty. It's
Trusty Rusty. Yeah, it's the model. Well, that particular thing that they make.
That's just like excusing the fact that it oxidizes really quickly. They're just like, let's just make it a USP. Yeah, that's fine.
Saying that, an iron oxide coating, done in a controlled way, it's a protective coating because it's an oxide layer.
But will that transfer to the golf ball when you hit it? You just have like these brown streaks on the golf ball.
Rusty ball, probably not.
Nobody wants rusty balls.
A long time thing they've done with firearms is bluing, which is it's an iron oxide coating.
Okay.
It's not iron 3, it's iron 2, so it looks different. It's got a blue-black look rather than a brown-red look.
Yeah, the suit did look different in Iron Man 3. You're right.
I
got to stop doing that. I keep spitting at my camera, so there's just going to be like drips of grease and saliva.
Soft focus from all of your mucus. Ice cream cart complete with parasol and freezer used once for a wedding. Yours for £350.
Sounds like they've bought it for a wedding. And then they were like, well, don't need this anymore. You can hire these things for less money. You do realise that. And it comes with an actual person. It looks kind of sad against that driveway and that really poor fence behind it. Not even the sheep behind look like they're remotely interested in this sad looking parasol. It's kind of tragic.
Are the sheep going, ew?
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good. Used once for a wedding. Stop it, all right? That's like buying brand new prams for your children. Just get second hand. You're going to get rid of them when they're too big to fit in them, for God's sake. Anyway, that's neither one nor the other, so very good.
I'm just going to share this next one with you without comment because I believe your eyes are going to appreciate it.
Oh, no. I've not had a picture give me a headache in a while. It's not... four. It's like,
yeah.
Why does it need to be? But none of the other things are like written like that. It's like, has someone gone to them like sometimes 4 pies could mean like a different type of 4? Like,
I need 4 pies. What do you need for pies? Sally James's with a what looks like a seagull as the apostrophe.
It's the apostrophe.
Box 4, but in brackets spelt with the number 4 spelled out, and then box 4, that's just the number 4. Traditional pie, mash, and liquor. 4 pies, 4 mash, 4 liquor, 2 vinegar. You don't get 4 vinegar here. with suitable vinegars for bread pudding or spotted dicks. We'll substitute vinegars for bread pudding or spotted dicks.
And they squish all of that fucking stuff in that tiny gap between. Why does that other green line need to be so thick below it as well? This is a design nightmare.
It is a bestseller and can all be frozen.
But then, okay, let's ignore the incomprehensible word salad for a second. Look at the state of... Why would you need that much liquor? The pie looks like it's literally drowning. Like, it looks like it's trying to reach up to get saved by the other pie behind it.
It's like someone sliding into some stagnant pond in a forest somewhere.
I never understand why they call it liquor as well.
It's like a parsley sauce, is it not?
Liquor? It makes it sound like you're just going to just pour some nice brandy all over your pie, just set it on fire and then chuck it into the sea.
Flambe your pie so much that the plate breaks.
I've got a story about that. We were having a barbecue at uni, somewhere where my friend lived, and you could get out of the first floor window onto the roof, which you weren't really supposed to. It was kind of like felt. We didn't want to put a barbecue straight onto that, and we didn't have any bricks, so we put a upside down plate on it. You can see where this is going. And then the steam that sort of generated underneath it, the plate just exploded and just flew out that way.
Unless they're oven-proof plates, because there's like moisture in the actual material, the gases can't go anywhere, so they just make the ceramic explode.
That is exactly what happened. And they still got their security deposit back because I guess they didn't look out onto the roof and see a barbecue-shaped burn in the roof.
In the felting, yeah. Large light-up KFC shop sign, 74 centimetres tall, 15 centimetres wide, 220, 240 volt. Large metal wall mount bracket. I have replaced the 3 strip light tubes and starters inside and it lights up and looks great. I cannot find another like it online anywhere, so it is a very rare item. You're welcome to view it and I will do my best to answer your questions, open to offers.
Well, I don't know. He seemed to answer all the questions in that paragraph of a post.
Who in the world owns a KFC shop sign and is selling it on a local buy and sell? How has this come into their possession?
What the actual fuck was there? I can imagine that there was a KFC that got shut down somewhere, and he just went past and went, "You didn't do anything with that sign." It's like, no, I guess not. I will take it off your hands for a fair price. Now he owns it, and he's done it up, and he's selling it at a big markup, perhaps. Or maybe he made it himself.
It looks of high quality. It looks like it's proper merch.
You can buy this off by a merch drop. Or as an adventure, light up neon sign.
It's got our face, either of our faces on either side.
I got an email from Fast Toast saying something about the I took a shit whilst a homeless man watched thing. It was just an update saying that they've changed their policies on their website and our URL may be affected, but I thought they had taken it down. So I'm very confused. We may still own I took a shit while a homeless man watched.
Thanks, guys.
The legitimacy of this sign does seem legitimate, but I wouldn't want that colonel staring at me, judging.
You open your bathroom door and it's just at about head height, just beaming away. I watch you while you piss.
You eating my chicken yet? Chicken grease salt.
The finest flavours.
No one cares about your secret recipe. It's just, you can apply that to anything chicken adjacent and it would still be lovely. Are those the big 4 swipey McDoodads?
I have got 2 local newses.
Going from stealing from your local KFC to a bit of news.
Local news for local people.
This is not really food related, but it's animal related, let's say.
Funnily enough, mine are animal related as well.
The stars have once again aligned. This was from a while ago, but to be honest, I was struggling to find news that weren't about people being stabbed or necrophiliacs or whatever else is going on.
Hasn't it been a week in the news?
It really has. So this is from the 18th of June, so going back a little bit. It's written by Gemma Tolson. Pregnant pig flees farm before giving birth in the woods. A pregnant pig has escaped from a farm before giving birth to 10 piglets in the woods.
Pregante.
Will it hurt piglets, top of head? How many times are we going to squeeze that reference in there? Squeeze it dry like a potato in the wild.
A potato smashed into the side of a steakhouse.
And then it immediately goes on to an account from someone who saw this.
I watched a pig give birth and it was good.
Anna Aston, 49, was shocked when she spotted the mum feeding her babies in the undergrowth as she walked her dog. I think this might be spelled wrong. I think it's supposed to say Pugsley, but it says Pugglesey on Monday, June the 14th.
Yes,
Pugglesey.
Sorry, no. We decided to give our dog a stupid, hard-to-say name so that we could trip you up and correct you because we're that kind of people.
Yeah, I reckon Gemma was like, are you sure it's Pugglesey? It's like, yes, it is. Continue with your research.
Cease your investigations.
She contacted Brinsley Animal Rescue after making the discovery in woodland near Ollerton, and volunteers have since named her Matilda. The charity is now appealing to a farmer to allow them to rehome the Ollerton 11 so they can avoid the fate of being slaughtered. They sound like criminals now, the Ollerton 11.
Also, if they're going to a farm, they're probably going to get slaughtered anyway. That's the kind of point, isn't it?
Mum of two Anna says they earned their freedom thanks to Matilda's daring escape. Mum of two Anna, you have no authority over whether their freedom has been earned or not.
Did the pig have like half their face painted blue?
Yes, and then they mooned the farmers. Anyway.
Moving swiftly on.
I was just walking near the woods on Monday evening when I heard something in the hedges, which I knew immediately was quite big.
I hear big.
She's aware that this isn't a sparrow or a rabbit. This is a quite big.
There's no chaffinch or stoat.
I thought maybe it was another dog or a badger. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this pig and her piglets rustling around in the undergrowth. I knew they weren't wild boar. They just looked like ordinary pigs. You used the superior power of your fucking eyesight to recognise that they weren't wild boar.
Behold, ordinary pigs.
But then she says, which I thought wasn't normal. The pigs are ordinary, so that's not normal. Or the fact that there's pigs instead of wild boar, that's not normal, because either of them are pretty rare to see. I walked on, but couldn't get these pigs out of my mind, and I was worried for their safety. The pigs
I've
are on
got pigs on my mind.
I didn't realise there's a pig farm nearby, and she must have escaped from there. It's incredible, really, that she went to such lengths to protect her babies. It was just instinct, really, but anyway.
Yeah,
she
I
deserved.
think all species on the planet would be fucking fucked if they didn't have any sort of instinct to protect their young.
She deserves a safe and happy life with her little family. It's a big family. 10 children is not a little family, no matter what species you are. Well, okay, spiders, perhaps. And I think she has earned her freedom now. Just like the Tamworth 2 all those years ago, we now see justice for the Ollerton 11. John Beresford, who runs the charity, said he would need permission from the farmer to remove the pig and her piglets, which are believed to be around 3 weeks old. But he is hopeful of Nottinghamshire County Council allowing them to move the animals safely on welfare grounds if their pleas to the farmer fall on deaf ears. So, sod you, farmer, we're going to take what is essentially your property. They have dubbed the family the Ollerton 11 after the Tamworth 2, a pair of pigs that famously escaped while being unloaded from a lorry at an abattoir in Wiltshire in 1998. John believes Matilda's motherly instincts kicked in and she knew she had to get herself and her babies safely in order to protect them. It's almost like her maternal instincts are like, I want to get out of here and have my babies, and she is broken out. It's kind of obvious. Again, like, that is what animals do.
This feels a little bit like I'm trying to get to a word count.
We are now appealing to the farmer to let her be rescued by us, as she has shown such bravery, determination, and strong love for her babies. We think she has earned. Is earned a real word? E-A-R-N-T. That doesn't feel like it's a real word. Earned.
It is a real word.
Well, Microsoft Word doesn't think so. There's a squiggly line under it.
I could do one.
We think she has earned her freedom now, and it would be wrong to take her back to the abattoir. We've been trying to contact the farm without any joy so far, so we may have to approach the animal department at the local authority. If they agree, we can move her on welfare grounds. You've already said this, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, Brinsley Animal Rescue actually came forward and did it because people crowdfunded it. And no, didn't do that. They crowdfunded it. They signed a petition, basically. Oh, yeah, there's another bit that says, we left food for her to eat, but she only seemed interested in caring for her young. She was eating her young. There were actually 12. Anyway, so that's a sort of vaguely wholesome news story because everything else made me sad to read. So it may have been repetition word salad, but at least it had a happy ending. So do you have any animal-centric stories which are equally horrifying / awesome?
Here's the first one, right? I'm going to try and keep a straight face. By this headline, sorry, it's too hard to sex a dinosaur.
Do not sex the dinosaur.
Do not sex to this dinosaur.
You failed.
Sex of Maidstone's famous dinosaur Iggy the Iguanodon remains mystery. This is not news at all. By Alan Smith. Curious onlookers who have closely examined the statue of a Mantellosaurus that has been recently installed outside Maidstone East Station has noticed something curious. The otherwise realistic statue has no genitalia. The mission is not due to any excessive concern of public modesty, because clearly the immorality of showing the junk of a dinosaur is clearly on the tips of everyone's minds and somehow their lips. It's not about excessive concern of the public's modesty on the part of the creators, Gary and Thomas Thrussell, but rather because no one knows what sex it should be.
Why does it matter? It's a fucking dinosaur. Just enjoy it. So I reckon a follow-up story at some point is going to be giant stick-on dildo found on local dinosaur.
So we just stuck it on its forehead. There you go. It's got a dick now.
Just like
So-
the massive ones from glory holes.
Well, the fact that they'd been torn out of one of the holes because, let me rephrase that. One of the courses, they were stuck to the floor, but people kept on fucking around with them, so they ended up just at the counter, at the bar.
I hope people didn't fuck them. That's because bloody hell, that was huge. That would tear you. That would tear you.
That was a big boy. You have to be ready for that. So the statue is a representation of the town's famous Iggy, the dinosaur fossil unearthed in the quarry off Queens Road in 1834. They believed it to be an iguanodon. The dinosaur has since been reclassified as a subspecies, the Mantellosaurus, that roamed the Earth 125 million years ago. The sex of the dinosaur seems rather important to Borough Councillor, for some reason, Tony Harwood. After all, Iggy does feature on the town's coat of arms.
There's sort of a little flower covering where the junk would normally be.
There's a tastefully placed leg. Iggy's remains still exist and are housed in a natural history museum in London, so Councillor Harwood wrote to them for guidance. Yeah, I don't know about you, but it's probably quite difficult to know from just the bones what gender or what sex a dinosaur would be. But anyway, the answer came back from Professor Paul Barnett, the museum's merit researcher of paleobiology, who said, sorry, it's effectively impossible to sex a dinosaur from its skeleton, as male-female reptile skeletons don't differ in any measurable way.
So they don't have hips that don't lie then.
These hips are lying. He said, indeed, the only known female dinosaurs are currently those that still contain eggs in their abdominal cavities, of which there are only a couple of examples. Every other dinosaur skeleton is effectively sex unknown, including Maidstone Mantellosaurus.
Sexless dinosaurs. That's at the forefront of everyone's mind.
Unfortunately, the councillor cannot sex to this dinosaur.
It just says sex of Maidstone in the headlines when you post it. It's just like, really? That draws you in. All right, how are you going to follow that one up?
In another exceedingly busy day in the news, and also something that's exceedingly on brand, Snodland couple shock after crab appears at their door.
Was he smoking a cigarette and he had like a hat on?
If only it was a mud crab with a cigar and a monocle for some reason. So the headline, as I saw it, was couple shocked by crab knocking at their door.
Knock, knock, knocking on
Some
crab.
Snodland couple's door. I.
Just hear this clacking.
Katie Heslop had to write this up. Snodland couple was...
Sorry, I had to. Like, fucking it. Rip me again.
It's just a gun to their head. Don't. My family. Think of the children.
I'm right about the crabs.
Right about the crabs. A Snodland couple was shocked when they opened their door late at night, to find a crab apparently trying to get in. When Jane Byrne heard a noise, she presumed it was hailstones. But was amazed to discover a bluish-grey crustacean scratching at the entrance to their May Street house at around 10 p.m. Peter Byrne said, who's apparently 63 because this makes a difference, "We are watching the news. My wife thought it was hailstones. She opened the door and looked and then shrieked, 'It's a crab trying to get into the door!' So I grabbed the fly swatter,
Did he crab the fly swatter?
the 3.5-inch wide crab. 3.5 inches.
Well, that's big to some men.
This big, in reference
To your forehead.
for want of anything else as reference. The 3.5-inch wide crab had put one claw across the threshold, as if to try and to get into the home, the couple say. Let me in. You see on TV when they put a foot in the door to stop it being shut. That's almost what it was like. Except if you shut the door on a crab, you'd destroy it with the door.
It'd be obliterated.
Pop it in a pot and have a lovely bit of dressed crab. However, when they switched the light on, the crab scrottled.
I'm sure it did.
The crab, God's sake, the crab scuttled away immediately into a hedge.
Did he get into a small cab and drive off into that? Ah!
Death crab for cutie. It was quite a big crab.
Brilliant. Sorry. Please continue this very serious and totally terrifying story of a crab.
It was quite a big crab. Clearly, 3.5-inch wide is quite a big crab. I have no idea where they're coming from. It's very bizarre, he said.
Traditionally, the fucking sea.
Some 5 crabs have been spotted in the street in the past 2 weeks, he's been told, including one which has been run over.
Aww.
Mr. Byrne, who is a scout leader, believes it may have been a Chinese mitten crab.
Oh, mittens!
Mitten crabs have distinctive claws that appear furry, and he says his nighttime visitor had similar features. According to the National History Museum, Chinese mitten crabs are one of the world's 100 worst invasive species. They cause problems like damaging riverbanks, modifying natural habitats, and competing with native species.
Just leave the fuzzy mitten crabs alone. Don't call them invasive, you bastards.
So there we go.
Wow.
Crabs.
When they have the scratching at the door, it just come out and there's a crab with a crowbar or a tire iron ready to smash the window after failing to open the door through the letterbox.
He's going to nip at your shoelaces so your foot falls out of your shoe, and then he's going to nip your Achilles tendon. And
Oh,
you'll fall
God.
to the
Oh,
floor,
God.
and then he's going to nip at your neck, and there's blood everywhere, and you're dead.
They should have let the crab in.
Let the right one in this case, it's a crab.
He was just lost.
Don't you know that I'm cold-blooded? I need the warmth. There we go. Enjoy.
I think it's just WhatsApp being dumb. It's just Snodland couple, and then it's just a picture of a crab. It's just like, well,
Snodland, to my knowledge, is not that close to any coastline, so I guess these are hanging around in a river or something.
someone brought them in a crate for some reason. Just like, hey, anyone want these crabs? It's like, no, go away.
Delicious mitten crabs.
Just tried to eat them, claw and all. Just like, it's so fuzzy. That's not how you eat crabs. Correct way to eat crabs is don't eat crabs. Don't be a dick.
Oh, no one needs wet insects in their life.
That was an excellent news story. I mean, they were both pretty good, but like that deaf crab for cutie. It was weird how the couple thought that one crab at their front door was like a hailstorm, entirely localized at your front door. The only sort of thing that I think that could possibly do that is someone who's adept at magic, such as a wizard or something. So that leads me into Meet Daddy's question. 10-foot wizard versus 12-foot ninja.
Well, this is quite an interesting one because they both have their own capabilities, and it really depends on the capabilities of the two. Because a 10-foot wizard, not only being tall so they can see many an area, they could scry for things and potentially find where this ninja is before the ninja can really get close enough to use his ninjutsu effectively. But saying that, a 12-foot ninja has in close combat the advantages of being taller and a ninja.
That is true. As far as I'm aware, they are bands, but I don't really know their music. I don't know if the bands have to compete or the namesakes of the bands have to compete, but I'm going to be literal here because I don't know enough about the bands themselves. I think a 10-foot wizard would win.
Okay.
Because it's a fucking wizard. Its height would have no bearing on its ability to turn the tall boy ninja inside out or transport them to another dimension wherein ninjas are mocked routinely for entertainment, for instance.
I guess it really depends on how much magic that the wizard uses that is dependent on reflex saves.
Ah, yes. Yes, of course.
Again, it depends on the ninja because the ninja's very skilled and very determined in their willpower. So you might find that the ninja might be able to close the gap, throw some, like some shuriken and shit, distract the wizard, and then when it's within slap fighting range, it will just carve the wizard in two.
Good point, because wizards don't have a lot of armor. So I hadn't thought about that, actually. I just thought that the idea of ninja doing all its, like Indiana Jones, like doing all this,
Just shoots
and the wizard just goes, spear! Or something like that.
Really depends if the wizard has memorized the spells that are effective against the ninja.
I suppose ninjas and wizards don't really cross paths in their respective lore, do they? Like, there's no wizards in ninja worlds and there's no ninjas in wizard worlds traditionally. So maybe they'll just be really confused as to what to do in that situation first, and then maybe they would become friends and they would realize that fighting is futile, and if they teamed up, they could take over everything. With the ninja's stealth and the wizard's magic. They're both very, very fucking conspicuous, though, being quite tall.
If you find yourself some sort of healer, maybe a 14-foot cleric, maybe that's my new stoner band, 14-foot cleric, then it's a solid backbone for a party.
Well, actually, if 14-foot cleric becomes a thing, all three bands can go on tour together. Yes, it's dumb, but it's also great.
Talking about dumb and songs, yes, quite. I have a very, very special What's That Tune for you today. I'm slightly deviating from the 1C Cons edition.
Yeah, no, I spell good.
I spell good. Today, you need to guess the Metallica song from James Hetfield saying yeah in it.
Oh my god! Here we go. Hold
Here we
on.
go.
I need to drink in order for my ears to work properly, apparently.
Don't sue us, Lars. Are you ready?
No. Fuck's sake. His yeah was kind of drowned out by a fill there, but can I have it again? Now this sounds like it's a bit of a mid-paced one. So anything from the 90s output, really. Is it The Memory Remains? No.
No.
Fuel?
No.
then I don't know.
Okay, we'll move on.
That's Fuel.
It is Fuel. What album is Fuel off?
Load?
Reload.
Or is it Reload? I can't. They're both the same fucking album, basically. Anyway.
Here comes our first content strike.
Yeah. That's a very distinctive hair, to be fair.
Onward.
Hit the lights.
Yes, it's Hit
Off
the
of
Lights.
Kill 'Em All, yep.
Yes.
Big solo.
Very good. That's 2 out of 3 so far. You're doing all right.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That was a really quick one. That's not quite enough to give away what the song is. Like, that sounds like something off the Black album. It's not even the whole it sounds like it's
It's because he kind of doesn't really say the year of the year. It's like, yeah!
Oh, I really like Metallica, but I don't know what song this is from. Like,
You got the right album.
I could just cheat and go through all 12 tracks. No, it's not Enter Sandman, is it?
That would be too
because
obvious.
you've already done that one. So, sad but true. I'm gonna give myself one more guess and then I give up. Don't Tread on Me.
Nope.
I probably would have got it eventually, but I don't want to just keep doing that thing because that's cheating.
Okay, number 5.
What the fucking hell? It sounds like he's having an interview and a car goes past. Gonna have that again.
No, that's just how it sounds.
Well, okay. Honestly, that doesn't sound like anything except somebody accidentally phoning you up and you just hear a bit of a crowd. Oh, fuck. Not that's going to help, but can I have it again, but can you slow the sound down? No, that didn't help. Don't know why it would. No, sorry. That's too indistinguishable. I do not know that one.
You're going to kick yourself because the whole album is pretty indistinguishable, but last one.
Oh, this isn't like a cover that they've done or something, is it? Because that would be really sneaky, just like doing a cover of a song and in a Metallica style.
In a club style. No, I don't believe this is a cover.
It started off so well, didn't I? And then I nosedived into oblivion. Can I have it again? Oh, God, that's really familiar. Come on, Sam. Think back to that wonderful era where you used to listen to Metallica every day when you... It's so familiar. I have to pass. I for some reason, I just can't piece it together. Well, at least I got 2. So one of them is definitely off of Ad Justice for All because you said the whole album's indistinguishable. Or Death Magnetic because that one's so fucking loud.
Nope, worse than that.
Saint Anger.
So yeah, the one I hinted at was from that, but the first song is actually from Death Magnetic. It's End of the Line.
Machine, burn through all your gasoline. Silent over time, never mind. You reach the end of the line.
That's a really fucking loud album, mastered wise.
It's really loud, but it's not as awful as St. Anger, which is just the levels are all wrong as well as it's all really fucking loud.
Yep.
So yeah, you got Fuel off Reload, then it was Hit the Lights from Kill 'Em All. Indeed, you didn't get Holier Than Thou from the self-titled Black album.
Oh, shit. I couldn't remember the name of that one either. I was just like, nah, even though it's clearly says it in it.
And then it was Saint Anger off Saint Anger.
That was a very bad time for Metallica's career.
I don't know why they decided to make the drum kit sound like it's 96 kilobit per second MP3, but they did.
Biscuit tin snare.
And it has this horrible ring to it that's so loud in the mix. That tang, and you're just like, why? It's so awful.
It's a big point of contention. All the songs go on for too long. There are no solos.
The mixing is awful. The levels of the mixing is awful. The mastering is awful. It's way too compressed, and it's just awful. Everything's bad about it. The vocals are too low as well.
I like the album art. There's always one redeeming quality to something.
The album cover. And finally, Waste My Hate on You from Load.
Don't waste your breath. Now I will waste my hate on you. Waste my hate on you.
I've got to be honest. I think Load and Reload, I've listened to the fewest out of the entire discography of Metallica. So I don't know them quite as well. I actually forgot that song even existed.
There you go. And here is your punishment.
I thought that was like Saint Anger at the start. It's like, it sounds awful. No, he sped it up at some bullshit fucking level. What we've learned today is sometimes it's really hard to tell the from the
Which, that we're listening to.
I like that concept. I like the concept of guess the band song from the thing that they're known for doing all the time.
There's definitely a frequency, like a distribution of years that sort of... It's around sort of the 90s albums that he did an awful lot of years.
I'll tell you what will be a really tough one is guess the Machine Head song from the noise that he does in every song.
Which song has this pinch harmonic in it? Don't give me ideas. That was your 1 seconds edition. You didn't get more than 2 right. You got 2 right.
I got them 2 right. So I guess I have to talk about the story that I have brought along today, which is a somewhat relevant one considering the fireworks we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it. The story time this time. Just doing a shit. So this one is the first fireworks night I ever remember going to.
Wow.
Ever. Because I didn't want to talk about Rye fireworks because we kind of talked about Rye a few months ago. Like, that pretty much encapsulates all the stuff that we want to talk about. We cannot go into the other bits because we don't want you to know. We don't want you to know all of our dirty little secrets.
We're going to have some mystery about us, surely.
Yes, some mystique.
The band or the X-Men character?
Yes.
No, that's a crossover I'd like to see.
Get on it, Marvel, and whoever owns the rights to Mystique. I'm not going to look it up now because I need to get into story mode.
Get the fuck on with the story.
The first ever fireworks party I recall going to was when I was around 5 or 6 years old. So we're talking about this happening around November 91 or 92.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's friend drove us to a mutual friend's place where we'd allegedly be scoffing food and watching fireworks explode.
Not just fireworks sitting on a table. Observe.
Look at the fireworks
Look.
go. Cool, let's go home before they start setting them on fire. I recall the drive there seeming like an eternity, but it was probably just under an hour. Meaning it was likely somewhere near London or Gravesend.
Nowhere else. Not Tunbridge Wells.
We definitely went inland. We were on a motorway. Way too excited to have a nap, I stared outside and witnessed the glow of nearby towns as well as occasional colourful explosions for most of the journey. After what seemed like a relative eon, we finally pulled up at our destination. A rather nice-looking semi-detached suburban residence, which felt like a more upmarket version of where I lived. Not saying I lived in a shithole or anything, but it just seemed nicer. Almost like a cul-de-sac where people bring food round each other's houses and have conversations and don't lock themselves in their houses hoping they don't see their neighbours ever again. Anyway, I was ushered indoors by my mother, eager to get from the warm car through frigid outside conditions and back into a warm house before we succumbed to hypothermia or something. A mother's worry is great when it comes to her own, it seemed, despite me donning more insulative clothing than someone about to climb Everest.
Someone trying to survive in the film 2012 or whatever it is, or The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, all those silly big budget disaster films. Once inside, I was introduced to some other children my age, the residents of the house, and most importantly, the food, because I was hungry after that really long drive. I opted for a hot dog, but ate it very slowly because I didn't like the skin on the sausages back then.
Hog donger.
My mother always removed them when we were at home. She would then feed said skins to our ever-grateful cat, Sooty, so it became second nature to shun the skins.
So hot dog skins were fed to the cat.
No, it was sausage skins, not
sausage,
specific.
not a hog donger.
As I was picking my way through the dog, we were ushered out to the back garden for the fireworks display was imminent. Clutching my hot dog, I followed Mum and the other attendees to witness impending colourful chaos. Some of the other children were playing with sparklers near some steps leading down to the garden. I stood enthralled by them as one neared its extinguishing point before it emitted a loud pop sound, making me jump. I believe these particular sparklers were dancing on the very brim of health and safety and were no doubt banned in the UK shortly after, if not banned already. I was offered one and gingerly accepted it, but made sure to distance myself before the bang occurred. I'm not misremembering this. It got to the end and it popped. Like, I didn't know if that was like a design flaw or something, but yeah, fucking dangerous. It still made me jump, much to the amusement of nearby adults. Everyone's attention soon became diverted to the fireworks display, which was now underway. Said display was being overseen by several fewer than sober adults, meaning that technical effectiveness of the show was varied, to say the least.
At this point, I'd like to say I remember when I was a child going around someone's house and they were putting fireworks up and around wherever, and one of them included nailing Catherine wheels to a fence. They nailed it in such a way that it didn't spin at all. So it just was like out one side, like, okay, I guess that's cool.
You just remind me of a much later time when my dad did the same, but to our shed, and it set fire to a part of our shed.
Good effort.
Responsible human adults. Anyway, still, no one got hurt, and the resulting pyrotechnics were pretty.
The audio brand Technics.
Not all was lost. I covered my ears during louder moments, but kept my eyes transfixed on the colours and shapes, which made the unpleasant cacophony a necessary annoyance. Once the display was over, a thick fog of sulphuric discharge coated the relatively compact back garden, curling over the fences and throughout the housing estate as everyone cheered. However, it was not over yet, because those same drunken blokes who'd been in charge decided to sellotape together around 5 of the most dangerous/impressive fireworks they had and light them all at once.
Great.
Preparation for this feat took at least 10 minutes whilst they figured out how to unite all the fuses together to ensure this ultimate finale firework went off without a hitch. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen.
Whoops.
After around 4 attempts, the fuse was finally lit, during which time everyone took a good few steps back, with some even going indoors and opting to witness this impending disaster through closed windows. After a tense 30 seconds or so, the fuses finally reached their end, but nothing seemed to happen. Just when someone was about to approach this health and safety nightmare...
Good idea, really good idea.
It exploded, fell off its supporting stick, landed facing the fence, shot towards the fence, exploded several more times before letting out a ferocious screaming noise and spluttering out its death throes. It was horrendous. During this cacophony, sparks and fountains of coloured fires sprayed all over the back garden, illuminating it in a way that was just a little too bright and powerful for my youthful mind to comprehend. It was like someone turned the brightness up a lot. Once echoes of the final explosions and screeches faded into a distant cadence, someone laughed, possibly in relief that no one was killed during this clusterfuck of a finale. Amazingly, the fence was also fine and nothing seemed to be on fire, which was little short of a miracle considering how long the firework cluster had been going. It was agreed that we should all head back indoors and hope the neighbours didn't call the emergency services or the authorities fearing a bombing had taken place. Back in relative safety, I headed towards the living room where several other children were playing on a Sega Master System. I almost said masterpiece then. Sega Masterpiece. I took turns playing Alex Kidd with one of them before they got into a huff because they were not very good at it. Admittedly, nor was I, what with only recently managing to master Sonic's controls, but I didn't fear losing as much as this kid seemed to. You played Alex Kidd?
Yeah.
Yeah. You are Alex Kidd. Details after that become hazy, but I believe I took a sofa-based nap, having been worn out by the excitement of those fireworks and everything. I awoke briefly to find I had since been moved into the car, and we were en route home. I fell asleep again and woke up somewhat disoriented. A square of light shining from outside onto the ceiling caused this bemusement. It's like, you know, when you're sort of, well, when you're 6, and you just wake up and you're in a different place, but you're just like, Ugh. Anyway, I heard muffled voices coming from downstairs and slowly realised I was indeed back at home and in my own bed. Relieved that we had not ended up round someone else's house or something, I dozed off into a deep sleep. That was probably the first fireworks night I ever went to, or at least the first one I remember going to. Luckily, subsequent events have involved fewer experimentations with fireworks, about the same level of drunkenness, and none of those terrifying exploding sparklers. Thank fuck.
I think my first experience of fireworks was like 4 at most. I just about remember this. It was a big exhibition thing, and it was fucking loud. All I remember it being so loud, I couldn't stand it. I barely wanted to watch because it was so loud.
Yeah, you could feel it probably in your chest as like, the explosions are going off. Yeah. See, you do have a good long-term memory sometimes. You say you can't remember what you did last week. You can remember 31 years ago. So.
Exactly. Like last week's not important at all, but seemingly things that terrified me as a child are.
Oh, yeah, everyone remembers trauma.
Everyone remembers the spicy memories.
The spicy memories, yeah. Those are the memories. Luckily, I can remember stuff around them, so it softens the spice. It's like adding really hot chili sauce to a chili. It makes it taste nice rather than going, why?
Why am I rubbing this into my gum?
I've still got one of these attached to it.
Big Clive was appreciative of their build quality and the effort put into making them.
Good effort. Really good effort. A much better effort, I should imagine, than...
The way that this next question has been asked?
Yeah.
So Carrot Sus asks, I've been watching a lot of iZombie lately. Why do they owe me... Let me try this again. Why do they owe my brain...
No.
Line. Why do they owe my eat the brains? What are they hungry for? Knowledge?
Wow, I think that just... Thank you, Carrot Sus. Judging by how clumsily constructed that question is, maybe they're hungry for better diction?
Oh my, eat the brains.
Oh my, eat the brains.
Oh my.
Well, perhaps they seek to gain the knowledge of where the other brains are located, kind of like a self-serving craving. I eat your brains to find out where other brains are.
Is there a special like restaurant and or food hall you can go to where you can self-serve the cravings?
Like soup kitchens where...
Ladle soup directly into your trousers.
Ah, that soothes the fire. Open up your head. Zombie brains are useless, so you take those out and then you put the fresh, tasty human brains in.
Ladle them in, yeah. Well, if ladling soup into my trousers is wrong, I don't want to be right.
And then you shut the skull, and then you throttle the zombie, so the brains get mixed up.
That's how skulls work. They've got hinges with like a busted top hat.
Busted don't wear top hats.
They could. They're fashion forward.
The skull was facing forward. You know, Frankenstein's monster, where it just stitch it back on or something. Speaking of Frankenstein's monster, we're watching an episode of Sabrina this morning, because apparently that's my life now in the mornings.
Good.
And they kept referring to Frankenstein's monster as Frankenstein. I was like, for goodness sake, stop it.
Unless they're deciding that they're going to moida Dr. Frankenstein.
And turn him into his own monster. Come on, you are a TV show about witches. Get something right. Anyway, brains.
Are they hungry for worms?
No, they're hungry for brains. Wait, what line? So why they owe my own eat the brains is because they want to start a Liza Minnelli tribute band where they're like, oh my God!
The East Midlands premier cabaret placebo covers band.
So that placebo covers band needs backing singers. So if the zombies get fed the brains of backing singers, then they will be able to themselves, in iZombie logic and universe, become adept backing singers. Now, I've never watched a TV show, so do the effectiveness of the brains, is that permanent or is it like a temporary thing? Once you've digested it, you no longer remember what the brains you have eaten have locked within them? Or does this iZombie, does she just keep accumulating more and more knowledge, the more brain she eats, so she just becomes like this
Big
fucking brainulo?
No idea. I've not watched it, not even read up on this, so your answer is going to be far more informed than mine.
I watched about a third of an episode round my parents' house, and I was just like, because it was like 6 seasons deep, I'm like, well, who are these people? What the fuck is going on here? Who's this guy? What the fuck is happening? What? Zombies? Who is the zombie? Why am I a zombie? It was very confusing.
Maybe you need to oh my eat the brains because you require the knowledge.
I do need to oh my eat the brains, but where can I get some oh my brains?
Lack of intelligence or knowledge in specialist subjects getting you down? Do your friends routinely mock you on Trivial Pursuit Night? Feel like your brain could be brainier? Well, join our exciting new clinical trials at Oh My Brains to experience an experimental brain-boosting sensation. Our serums are voluntarily sourced from some of the greatest minds alive, dead, and possibly imaginary. The serum trials are free to join, low risk, and come with complimentary, delicious pen. Trials last for 3 weeks and involve a small yet highly invasive injection. To access the juiciest parts of the prefrontal cortex, we gently extract the eyeballs before administering the serum. Don't worry, we put them right back, clean as a whistle. After the trials have ended, you'll wonder how you ever got by without Oh My Brain's intelligence-boosting serum. Still not convinced? Listen to these satisfied test subjects and put your woes aside. Used to know nothing. Now, know too much. The crabs will rise and destroy us all. I've connected the dots. We're all doomed. As you can see, it's totally safe and 100% guaranteed to make you more smarter. Find us in the car park of your local Netto between 8 and 12 p.m. to start your big brain journey. Oh my brains, eat the brains, be the smarts.
Much like the iZombie, we've scooped out all of the brains of that particular.
Like the Venga bus sliding upon prawn sauce, we have crashed and we've halted our inquiry into the answer to this question.
Much like a bus that crashes through a building, causing a lot of clutter. Do you have any clutter for us this week?
It's the time that Sam gets me to talk about shit.
I have one special guest.
Oh my god!
An
So that
original
was
Game Boy. It's not my original Game Boy, it's someone else's, but it is. The original Game Boy came out in 1989. This is actually from 1992, which is very most fitting because your story is from 92 as well. This was made sort of no earlier than about August, September 1992. It was someone I worked with and apparently didn't work. Just need a bit of a tidy up and it does work now.
It didn't work, and you were like, hold my drink.
Yeah, so I'll have a look at it. Yes, unsurprisingly, the screen is as bad as I always remember it being.
You need to get one of those lights to put over it so you can play it under your covers in bed at night time.
Well, these days you can do a whole replacement of the board with the screen and put in a nice OLED screen or something like that. So you can have it's backlit and it's much crisper and it doesn't have any of the ghosting.
I feel that betrays the authenticity of the original. It's like, this isn't the GTA trilogy remaster we're talking about here.
It's quality of life, and if the game came out now, it would have a much nicer screen. But I don't think it's too much of a stretch to give it a nicer screen because it just gives you better ability to play. The buttons need replacing because the membranes behind them are so soft. Unless they were always this soft, they just feel really smushy.
I don't remember. Like, the last time I picked a Game Boy up to play it was 1998.
Well, this thing's like nearly 30 years old, so
What's the game in it?
only an absolute legend. The Legend of Zelda, no less.
Oh, yes. Is that a gold cartridge?
Oh, no, it's just orange. That's its original colour. It's discoloured because 90s plastics go orange in the sun because of bromide. The chemical compounds in the plastic as a fire inhibitor. The UV makes them go orange, or sort of a yellowy orange.
Why was that cartridge in the sun? Person who owns that Game Boy. Come on.
They were a child.
We were all children once. We made mistakes. I swear my brother and I both had a Game Boy each, or maybe we shared one, I can't really remember. But no longer, and I don't know where it went. I think it got handed down to my younger brother and he broke it, maybe? I don't know. I'm sorry, younger brother of mine, if you didn't break it and it just went missing, that's also fine. We need to hold on to these things. It's like my camera from 15 years ago or whatever it is. God, technology has come a long way. What are your plans for that Game Boy?
If I put some batteries in, I can show you it working.
Can hear the 8-bit music and everything. So this is the thing about like really old games as well. Like they don't age poorly like PS1 games do. Like
I'm sure there'll be a point where people look back at PS1 games with the same rosy tint that they do for these things.
you said about the nostalgia PS1, they're demaking Bloodborne. Yes. The screen is so bad, no one can see you. Ah, there we go, Zelda. That takes me so far back. Back to the 90s. That is superb. That's not even clutter to my mind. That's a relic. And that's something you should be supremely proud of, that you
Yeah,
managed to get a working one.
I was going to give it back to him, but I've suggested what needs replacing, and it's the cartridge slot's a bit dodge, and the button membranes really is the minimum, I'd say. And if you want a better screen, then that could be done. But it does work. It's just, it's a bit temperamental. In effect, this is just the scaled down version of an NES. It's got the same processor in it, it's just been scaled down. It's got some other bits and pieces in it, but yeah, pretty much an NES, but smaller.
You've created such a nice clutter time. I feel disappointed that we don't actually have a final question to end on. So let me think of a question. What question should I ask? That's not the question.
It was a question.
Okay, Alex, what question should I ask?
Don't pass it on to me.
Buck past. What are questions if they're not excuses to prolong the runtime of our podcast? But that's okay. Sometimes, much like smashing a potato into the side of a Burger King, you don't have to make something bigger than it is out of the modest supplies that you have. Sometimes what you have is enough, and it's rich and nutritious enough, much like the humble potato, much like the Game Boy itself, that is a classic, and it didn't need to be in of itself modified. Obviously, they made better versions of it, like the colour and etc. But as it stands, it stands the test of time. And speaking of time, it's time for us to wrap up the show for this week. We have once again reached the end, as slaves to the inevitable march of time. You can watch Always an Adventure age in real time on YouTube, or listen to time ticking down on Spotify. If you head over to Twitter, at AAA_AlexSam, the numerous plop tales are almost tangible, including a really poetic one. As the sounds of fireworks fade, a gentle plopping of Sam's pre-podcast poo can be heard permeating the silence. And that's actually got engagement. People actually liked that we don't know. That fucking podcast, whoever that is. That's the name. Or was it Adventure our name?
Whilst you're admiring poetic descriptions of your shitting, maybe while you're on Twitter, also tweet us a question or two to feature on our future episodes.
Thank you for those that I managed to wring questions out of this week. No, we really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun coming up with random bullshit just to squeeze our way through the weird answers of the...
Oh my, the brains.
That is really it for now. So we will see you next time for some more Guff Flex.
Take care. Take care. Take care.
Horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.